it for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida TV. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Tuesday, May 7. How is everyone doing? Thank you for watching live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and live on Twitter. It's a big day. It's NHL Draft Lottery night. I wish the NHL would actually hype this day up and this night up a little bit more than they do. As a matter of fact, it wasn't up until a couple of days ago that you were able to find on the internet at what time the draft lottery was going to take place. And even at that, you have to search long and hard for it. Other sports, you would think that you would find it pretty easily. Hockey and the National Hockey League, a little bit behind the other leagues, I think. It's a big night for every single team who dream of getting the first pick. As a matter of fact, not every single team, because only 11 teams have a chance at the number one pick. And we're going to show you basically and talk to you about all the rules, because it could be a little bit complex. So we have them written out and we're going to bring them up so we can show them to you. I am Marinaro. It is the Sick Podcast. It is NHL Draft Lottery night. And Montreal Canadiens fans watching are crossing their fingers and hoping that the same thing happens that happened 2 years ago for the Montreal Canadiens when they got the first pick overall and consequently ended up drafting Juraj Slafkovsky, who seems like he's off to a pretty great start of his NHL career, who picked up 20 goals this season in his second season, 30 assists, 50 points, only one of two Montreal Canadiens in the history of the Montreal Canadiens, age 20 or less, to have a season of 20-plus goals, 30-plus assists, 50-plus points. The other, the late, great Guy Lafleur. Canadiens fans are hoping the draft lottery for them is as lucky as it was a couple of years ago and not as lucky as it was a year ago when they got the 5th pick overall in the draft. They ended up drafting David Reinbacher with the pick. And picking number one doesn't mean you're going to end up drafting the best player in the draft, because as we know, in the history of the National Hockey League, there has been some number one picks overall who didn't pan out, some number one picks overall who didn't end up being as good as number 3, number 4, number 5 in the draft or whatever. But this is a game of probabilities. And the probabilities are that the best players usually go number one overall. The way Nathan McKinnon went number one overall, the way Austin Matthews went number one overall, the way Connor McDavid went number one overall, the way Alexander Ovechkin went number one overall, the way Steven Stamkos went number one overall, the way Sidney Crosby went number one overall. I can do this all over again. But then again, there are examples of a big draft like 2003, where arguably the best player selected in that draft went 45th overall. The Sick Podcast brought to you, and that was Patrice Bergeron, of course. The Sick Podcast brought to you part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. And it's also brought to you by the people behind me, and that is the fridge. And look what's inside. That's Labitte TB beer, brewed in Quebec, a winner of a dozen international awards. Labitte TB offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. Labitte TB, embrace your true nature. Simon the Snake Boisvert is a little tied up as we speak, but he should be joining us in about 20 minutes' time. I got great news for you. Guess who's joining me right now? He is the founder and owner of Recruits and Recruits.ca. He is a former Montreal Canadian scout during the Bob Gainey administration, and he is the co-host of the Recruits Draftcast podcast on the Sick Media Network. Grant McCagg, how are you?
I brought some, hopefully some karma for the Habs there, Tony.
Was that the lucky shirt of a lucky sweater of a couple of years ago?
Yeah. And
really?
I couldn't find any Chicago Blackhawks stuff, in my dresser. Yeah. So, yeah, I really don't hope that they win. I don't know about you, but as far as the 15 teams, that's 15th on my list or 16th on my list.
They already hit the lottery and then some, of course, with Connor Bedard 1 year ago. And, if he plays to the potential that a lot of people see in him, he's going to be one of those special players that we talked about. Grant, there's a lot of people watching us right now, tons. As a matter of fact, millions and millions and millions. It's not true. Maybe over 1,000. But anyway, maybe one day we'll get there. Who are a little bit confused of the draft and its rules. So why don't we bring them up? And we were able to pick this up from NHL.com.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to comment on your intro there. It ended with Bob Cole, right?
Yeah.
The last guy to announce, to talk about a Canadian team winning the Stanley Cup, and it was
correct.
The Montreal Canadiens. And I just, I posted something about him on Twitter after his passing, and there was not one negative comment. And for all of the, for all those years that, he's a homer, which he never was, by the way, but, all the Canadian griping about him and stuff, it was just so neat to see that, everybody deep down loved Bob Cole, I think.
Of course, yeah.
And it was sad to see him go, but just hearing that brought back, fitting that that your intro ends with Bob Cole.
Yeah. Well, Bob Cole was a piece of bread, salt of the earth kind of man, and
yes,
one of the best hockey play-by-play announcers in the history of the game. And I love that call so much that, as you know, there's only so much that I can put in my intro, and that's one of them. And now a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup. And obviously, the late, great Bob Cole did a lot better than that.
And I can't wait to hear, Slafkovsky steps gingerly over the line, passes it back to Celebrini. He scores. I can't wait till that's your new.
Wow. That would be a dream, but we're going to show that as much as we want to keep the optimism up here. Unfortunately, the law of averages don't have the Montreal Canadiens as a favorite to get the first pick overall, but
that's true.
An 8.5% chance might be good enough, and we'll only find out. We'll find out. By the way, so this is going to go on television at 6:30 p.m., but this was actually recorded earlier on, and the draft selection was probably complete at around 5:30 p.m. So the select people that were in that studio, John Butchergross being one of them, already know the results of the draft. But of course, I would imagine they'd have to sign a few papers so that it stays confidential and they can't leak the news. And I know that a couple of people, there's a picture circulated on social media that it makes it look like the draft was already leaked. And, this is just showing probabilities, I would imagine, and maybe tests. But if it happens to be the same thing, well, then maybe we can ask ourselves some question. But if not, let's just wait and see. Okay, let's bring up some of those rules as I put on my glasses and I'll read them out to you. Okay. Once again, the draft lottery determines the order of selection for the first 16 picks in the first round of the 2024 draft. Participants are all teams that didn't qualify for the playoffs, and or the teams that have acquired first round drafting positions of those non-playoff teams. All right. So there's been some changes to the draft lottery as of March of 2021. And among the changes in effect is a limit on the total number of selections, 10. A team participating in the draft lottery can move up. So basically, only the top 11 seeds will be eligible to receive the first overall selection in the 2024 draft. Only the top 11 seeds. Now, the odds for the remaining teams increase on a proportionate basis for the second lottery draw, based on which team wins the first lottery draw. The 14 teams not selected in the NHL Draft Lottery will be assigned to the remaining 2024 NHL Draft selections among 1 through 16 in the first round in inverse order of regular season points. Keep in mind, 2024 NHL Scouting Combine showcasing the top draft-eligible North American and international prospects will be held on June 2nd to June 8th at KeyBank Center at the Lecom Harbor Center in Buffalo, New York. We have any more rules to bring up?
I hope not.
We do not. All right. Now, the percentages of teams winning the draft lottery. San Jose holds the highest percentage to get the number 1 pick overall at 18.5%. Chicago, 13.5%. Anaheim, 11.5%. Columbus, 9.5%. Montreal, 8.5%. Utah, formerly Arizona, 7.5%. Ottawa, 6.5%. Seattle, 6%. Calgary, 5%. New Jersey, 3.5%. Buffalo, 3%. Philadelphia, 2.5%. Minnesota, 2%. Pittsburgh, 1.5%. Detroit, 0.5%. St. Louis, 0.5%. And a graphic of Montreal Canadiens probabilities. Habs probability in the NHL Draft Lottery. First overall, they have an 8.5% chance. Second overall, they have an 8.6% chance. Grant, third overall, only 0.3. Fourth overall, no chance. Fifth overall, 24.5%. Sixth overall, and don't ask me to explain it, how they actually have more chance of getting a worse pick than where they finish in the standings. 44% overall, and a 14.2% chance of seventh overall. Grant, the guy in that picture is Macklin Celebrini of Boston University, and that's the consensus number 1 pick on everyone's list.
He's not
correct?
going 6th overall.
No. Grant, how, like, I know Celebrini's number 1 on your list, and we'll bring it up shortly, but is he like on the other side of the street of players that are in this draft, or is he one notch above one player or 2 players? What, how far does he distance himself from the rest?
I don't know. Like, I'm not going to, sit here and say that he'll score more career points than every other player from this draft class, because there are, Demidov, he might end up being the top point producer from this draft. I mean, there's some question marks there, but I don't know that Celebrini is more skilled than Demidov, but just his all-around game, his leadership, I think he's going to help a team win at least one Stanley Cup, and he'll wear a C, and he'll just be a supreme leader that does everything. So for those reasons, I think he'll be the best player. Now, will he be the most skilled and get the most points? Maybe not, but you cannot go wrong. His floor might even be above his ceiling, if that makes sense. It's just his floor is just incredible. He's going to be, that he's going to be somebody that gets your team into the playoffs and that helps you win many rounds at playoff time, and that's what you're looking for ultimately in a top pick.
I believe I've been told that he's here. If he is, let's see if we can bring him up. Also joining us tonight,
Celebrini.
The man
No, it's Snake.
There he is, Grant.
Darn.
Your best friend in the whole world. I just, in my ideal world, Grant, I don't know. I end up sending you guys on an all-inclusive vacation somewhere, just you and Snake one day. That's my dream, man. He is Simo, the snake Boisvert, the man I like to call Serpent.
Hi, guys.
What's going on?
Hey, Snake.
Hey, great night. Great night.
Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate you coming on because, you have a podcast of your own, which is called Processus on la Commission Athlétique with Mathias Brunet. And if I'm not mistaken, you're probably going to be recording something, I'd give or take at around 7 o'clock. So thank you very much for your time. It's much appreciated. All right.
It's fun. It's fun.
I'll ask you the same question that I asked Grant. Yeah. I've had a chance to see Grant's list. I'll bring it up a little bit later. I haven't had a chance to see your list. I don't know if you've published it somewhere. Is Macklin Celebrini, who seems to be the consensus number one pick, is he the number one pick on your list as well? If so, and why?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Because I don't always pick them out of left field at number one. Sometimes I do, but not this year. But some years it works, some years it doesn't. Look, I think he's way above everyone else in terms of he's a complete player. He's mature. He's a high-end skater. He can make plays. He can defend. He's almost like the perfect player, if I may say. However, is he going to make as many points as Bedard, for instance? Maybe not. But I would pick him before Bedard if I had to build a team.
You had a chance to see him live.
Yes, I did. I saw him in Vermont. The competition wasn't very fierce, but still, this guy, from one blue line to the other, I mean, he's like, it takes 2 seconds. He's absolutely amazing. Does he have the hands of Bedard? No, but he's still a very skilled playmaker. Does he have Bedard's arsenal of shots? No, but he still has a great shot. But the rest of his game is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I hear comparisons to Jonathan Toews. That could make a lot of sense. And if he ended up in Chicago, you could have another, Kane Toews 2.0.
Grant, listen, it's an interesting comment with Simon the Snake. We obviously have no shortage of opinions, nor do we have them with you. You just said, for those who are just joining us right now,
why were you laughing, Snake?
He doesn't think Macklin Celebrini is going to put up as much points as Connor Bedard, but he would take him over Connor Bedard. You said, here's a guy who's going to wear a C. Here's a guy who's going to help a team win at least one Stanley Cup. We heard that name, Jonathan Toews. What's your comparable for Macklin Celebrini?
Yeah, no, Toews has been brought up, and I'll go one further and mention Crosby. I'd say somewhere in between Toews and Crosby is what you're looking at.
That would be Patrice Bergeron.
I think he's. Well, I don't know if that you would say Bergeron is better than Toews in his prime. I mean, different players, but. Yeah. I don't know, Tony.
No.
I think he'll score more points than those two guys.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah.
He'll be a higher point scorer than Toews and Bergeron. I think Bergeron averaged like 60 to 70, somewhere in the 60 points a season.
You're right. Yeah,
he's not going to. Celebrini's going to be a point per game plus, and lead you a la Crosby. Maybe not quite in the same stratosphere as Crosby, because Crosby's one of the top 5 players of all time as far as I'm concerned. But, somewhere in between Toews and Crosby would be my projection on him.
Let's bring up Grant McCagg's top 10 list. As we say hello to everyone watching us live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, I've been told that the numbers are absolutely unbelievable. We thank you all. You are my sick community. You are my sick army. 2024 NHL Draft Rankings, recruits.ca. Macklin Celebrini, a centerman at a Boston University, NCAA, 6 foot, 190 pounds, is number 1 on Grant's list. Number 2, Ivan Demidov, a left winger, played in the MHL. Is that correct, Grant?
KHL. Oh, sorry. It was both. That should say MHL, but he should have been in the KHL.
5'11", 181.
Yeah.
You said earlier, probably the most pure skill in the draft?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Celebrini's close. The two of them, I'd say, very close as far as pure skill goes. But Demidov is just he's electric.
Snake, I know there's a couple of defensemen that you like, especially offensive defensemen. You went on record in the year of the Kotkaniemi draft to say that your pick would have been Quinn Hughes. That was one of your good ones. So good for you. Grant has Zane Parekh, a right-handed defenseman out of Saginaw, OHL, 6 foot, 179 pounds, who's an unbelievable point getter. Do you have Parekh as highly touted on your list? Yes or no, and why?
I've been back and forth with this guy all year long. Part of me wants to rank him as high as Grant does, and part of me doesn't because of his defensive shortcomings. So what I'm doing right now is, luckily, the guy is going to be playing in the Memorial Cup for Saginaw. So I'm kind of waiting because some days I want to rank him third, fourth. Sometimes I want to rank him 8 or 9. He's a headache for me. I do like the player, but I'm just concerned about his defensive shortcomings. If the offense will be enough in the NHL to overcome the defensive shortcomings, because I don't think he's as spectacular as Quinn Hughes was, let's say.
Grant, it's interesting where you put
how
him.
How about defensively though? You must have had concerns with Quinn Hughes.
Oh, I did.
mean, he still needs work defensively.
I did, but okay. I thought his offense was absolutely incredible. His potential was incredible.
His shot is nowhere close to Parekh's. Like, Parekh's going to score more goals than
Parekh has a better shot. Yeah, like I say, I'm on the fence right now. I need a couple of more weeks.
Grant,
no, I agree. Like, Parekh hasn't had a fantastic playoff, but he got injured too, and I'm going to give him a little bit of a break on that. But I'm with Snake, and I pondered back and forth Lindstrom, Parekh before making this list because I realized a lot of people are going to be seeing it. That could change after the Memorial Cup. I'm going to put a fair bit of stock into that because hopefully he's over his injury at that point, and we get to see, the real Parekh at the most important time. And I'm going to put a lot of stock into his Memorial Cup as well. I'm with Snake on that.
Grant, it's an interesting pick that you have at number 3, though, because, of course, there's a lot of people that have a list out there. And if you take a look at a lot of lists, you'll find that Zev Bayam is probably higher on a lot of lists. You'll find that Anton Siliev is probably higher on a lot of lists. You'll find that Dickinson's higher on a couple of lists, and even other defensemen as well. So there's probably 4 or 5 defensemen that are higher than Parekh on some people's lists. But I appreciate you sticking to your guns here and going with Parekh at number 3.
One of the reasons for that, Tony, is that Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes, Cale Makar, they all should have been drafted higher. They're all offensive defensemen. They all had issues apparently defensively, and that was why they dropped in their draft years. Not so much Makar, obviously, because he was 4th overall, but especially Fox and Quinn Hughes. And look at them, they're thought of as 3 of the top 10 defensemen for sure in the NHL. And I think I don't think you can go wrong with picking a power play quarterback defenseman high, especially if you have the need. And he's a right defenseman too. He's going to run an NHL power play. I have no doubt about that. He's going to put up good point totals, and he's going to make the scout that picks him look good, regardless of how good or bad he is defensively. I mean, Quinn Hughes has been lauded even earlier in his career when he, frankly, was not very good defensively, but he put up points, and he's great. What a great pick Vancouver made. The team and the head scout that picks Zane Parekh, he's going to make them look good because he's going to put up points.
Snake, Grant has Caden Lidstrom, a 6'3", 210-pound centerman who plays for Medicine Hat in the WHL, who obviously everyone talks about the importance of centerman and how important it is to be deep at center and to be big down the middle. This guy's definitely got the size, and this guy's got the ability. Where do you have Caden Lindstrom? Is he out of your top 3? Is he in your top 5?
Again, that's not top 3, but again, he's a guy that I go back and forth with. And the reason being, he was injured. He missed the second half of the season. He came back for the playoffs. He was okay in the playoffs, but you could see that he was not up to full speed. So I wish Medicine had played another round, so I could have seen him more. He's the type of guy that you wonder, I always wonder with these big guys, are they in junior? Are they dominant only because or mainly because they're bigger than the other guys? Or are they simply highly skilled and they happen to be big? And obviously when you get to the NHL, if you're a big guy, a good big guy is better than a small big guy. A good small guy.
Grant, in the last couple of weeks.
I'm not sure yet with Lindstrom. Is he going to be
Right.
4th or 8th on my list?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Grant, in the last couple of weeks, you've been talking more and more about Beckett Seneke. I don't know where you had him on your list, probably give or take 1 or 2 or 3 months ago, but it seems like he has been making a move on your list with every game that he plays. You actually have him at number 5 on your list, a right winger. I've seen him on other lists like 15, 16. You have him at 5, which I love the courage of your convictions here in the OHL with Oshawa. 6'2", 177-pound winger. What are you loving about his game, and why do you feel like there's a real big possibility that if the Canadiens have the 5th or 6th pick, that he could be their guy?
Yes, as I've come to realize, it's pronounced Seneca as opposed to Seneke. So just well, I saw him live in the playoffs against Ottawa. Saw him live several times this year. Saw him more than any of the top 10 prospects. I saw just incremental improvements in his game as the season went along. He just got better and better. And I put a lot of stock, just like Snake has said before on this podcast when we were on together, that playoffs are important to him. And it's the exact same with me. And Seneca, in my opinion, has been the best player in the OHL playoffs. Maybe Cowan, you could argue, would be up there with him, but he's scored clutch goals. He's made, and the goals that he scored are just, they highlight how much skill this kid has. And what's also, I think, important is that you project 4 or 5 years down the road. Now, 6'2", 177, clearly he's got room to fill out, and he's going to, because he made a growth spurt of 3 to 5 inches in the last 18 months. And he's got like size 14 skates. So he's the kid that is going to fill out, and he'll only get stronger, and his skating's only going to get better. And it's already pretty decent, but you can tell that he still needs to add strength. And I'd like to, I mean, you are projecting these guys for 3 years down the road.
For sure.
And nobody has made an improvement close to what Seneca has as the year has gone along. But also, going into the year, Tony, he put up really good numbers last year. So it's not like this is off the board for him being a top 10, at the end of the year. In fact, a lot of guys, NHL scouts, friends of mine, had him as a top 10 guy going into the year. First half of the season, Richie wasn't there. He didn't have the quality line mates that he has in the second half when Richie, and his point production soared when Richie came back. He plays well with fellow good players, which is what he's going to have at the NHL level, because I see him he's top 6 all day at the NHL level, and I think he has the upside to be a first-line winger. But 6'2", great length. I think him and Demidov it's a toss-up to who has the best hands in the draft. A couple of my scouting friends have agree with me on it that he stick handles very similarly to Jason Spezza. But I also think that he's got more layers to his game than Spezza had. He's got a little more grit. He's going to be a better skater than Spezza. Jason Spezza was a top 2 pick and pretty damn good NHL player. So I see some comparisons there, but also some things where he's better. I just think 2 or 3 years down the road, you're going to have a top 6'2" winger with some grit. I think his vision and his playmaking is excellent. So for me, I think he's got point per game upside at a minimum. But I also think that he plays as we've seen in the playoffs, that he's competitive and he's going to step up in the big games. So he's grown on me as the year's gone along, and he's the main riser in my rankings this year.
Snake, do you see it the same way? Because once again, as I mentioned to Grant, on some lists, he's 15, 16. He's got him moving fast. He's got a number 5 on his list. I'm wondering if Grant saw a Montreal Canadiens scout every now and then going to watch Seneca play. Did you see any Grant? Yeah? Any Canadiens scouts?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. And I think you'll see, he's going to be higher on lists. Like Bob had his whatever list that came out this week.
Top 15.
I can guarantee you that he'll be higher than 14 on his final list. Guaranteed.
Okay. Snake?
Well, there's 2 things that I really liked about Seneca. A, his playoff contribution, obviously, which is important to me. And the second thing that I like is that he's an OHL forward. These guys are very, very projectable. It's never easy to project players. But OHL forwards, I find, are a little bit, quote unquote, easier to project, let's say, that some guys in Liga or KHL. And I do like the fact that he progressed throughout the year. I like guys whose tendency is to get better and better and better as their 17-year-old season goes on. And this is exactly what happened with Seneca. So he'll be in my top 10. Don't know where yet, but he'll be in my top 10. He's highly skilled, and he's going to get bigger. And very projectable. I like him.
Snake, at the Frozen Four in the final, Denver played versus Boston College. Boston College, as we know, they're stacked. Will Smith, Ryan Leonard, Gabe Perreault. They obviously had the Fowler in goal. That's a team that's stacked. Most hockey observers thought that Boston College was going to win. Denver won the final game 2-0. Zev Bayam was an absolute horse. A lot of people watched that and said, this is the best stay-at-home defenseman, the best shutdown defenseman, the best all-round defenseman in the draft. Where do you have him?
I probably will have him around 6 too, but I wouldn't have him top 3 or top 4, because I do think that also although he's a very complete player, I think he lacks that little creativity to put him offensively, to put him at a higher level. So he skates well, he makes nice passes, he can make plays, he can play on the power play, but there's that little something that he doesn't have, which prevents me from putting him like top 3. But I think at number 6, he's good all-around defenseman. I like him. I think he's going to play tons of minutes in the NHL, but not necessarily a Norris Trophy candidate.
All right. The NHL Draft Lottery has started on television, but they haven't got to the balls coming out yet. They are interviewing right now as we speak the consensus number 1 pick in the draft, Macklin Celebrini, who plays at Boston University. Grant, why did you have Bayam as the second defenseman to go in your top 10?
Well, he, I don't know, you had to be impressed by his offense, Tony. He was he matched Lane Hudson in scoring this year as a freshman.
That's amazing.
I love his. He is really elusive on the blue line, and I think he can. I think he can run an NHL power play. So that's the part of the game that I think I probably like as much as anything is his offensive potential. I think he's going to put up really good point totals and run a power play at the NHL level. But what we also saw, and it really came through at both the World Juniors and, as you say, in the Frozen Four, both games, he played like close to 30 minutes a game, and he shut down two of the best college teams. That, Boston College had one of the most dynamic offensive college teams I've ever seen, and he was out against that top line every shift and shut them down for the most part. So you can't help but be impressed by both sides of the puck for this kid, and he only improved again. I like that part of a prospect going into the year. I don't know anyone that had him as a first round pick even, but he grew. He went into Denver. He was first pairing right off the bat, played in the World Juniors, and you rarely see it on the U.S. team where a draft eligible defenseman comes in and plays as important a role as he did. And he prospered, and it just grew as the year went along. So he really impressed me this year.
Snake, on Grant's top 10 list, he has 3 defensemen, 7, 9, and 10. At 7, he's got Carter Yakimchuk, right-handed defenseman, WHL. He's 6'3", 201 pounds. At 9, he's got Anton Siliev, who makes Yakimchuk look small because he's 6'7", 211 pounds. He plays for Torpedo in the KHL. And Sam Dickinson, another left-handed defenseman who's 6'2", 199, who plays for London in the OHL. So he's got Yakimchuk, Siliev, Dickinson, 7, 9, 10. Who do you prefer to those 3 defensemen, and why?
That's a tough call because Yakimchuk, obviously, great shot. Not the most agile skater, but good puck handler, right-hand shot. 30 goals, I think, this year. But he's also has a late birth date. So it's almost as if he could have been drafted last year. So he played this season as an 18-year-old. So I don't know. I'm always a little bit biased when this happens. And I know sometimes I've been wrong in the past because of that. I realize it. But anyway, but I still like him. Siliev, I would have him after Yakimchuk and Dickinson. I know he played professionally at age 17 in the KHL, which is rare. He's 6'7". He's very, very good skater, especially for his height. But I do not see the offense in this guy. So that's why I have to have him lower. Dickinson, I think, is a great all-around guy. Again, very projectable. Maybe I would put him before Yakimchuk. But again, I'm not sure because I don't think he's as good offensively, but he might be more well-rounded. So it's kind of a toss-up between those two, but I definitely have Siliev as number 3 amongst those guys.
We mentioned earlier on that the percentages for the number 1 pick are San Jose at number 1, 18.5, Chicago at 13.5, Anaheim at 11.5, Columbus at 9.5, the Canadiens at 8.5, Utah 7.5, Ottawa 6.5, Seattle at 6, and then there are other teams after that, but those are the highest percentage teams. I just took a picture, they were showing it on television, of the combos. San Jose has 185 combinations in, of course, the draft lottery. Chicago 135, Anaheim 115, Columbus 95, the Canadiens 85, Utah 75, Ottawa 65, and Seattle 60. All right, Commissioner Gary Bettman is talking right now. 2 drawings for 16 teams that did not make the playoffs. Teams can only move up a maximum of 10 spots. If a team in the 12 to 16 range wins first drawing, first pick will remain with the San Jose Sharks. Teams could not win the draft lottery more than twice in a 5-year period. So I need you to think of that, all right? When's Gavin McKenna going again, Montreal Canadiens fans? Teams cannot win the draft lottery more than twice in a 5-year period.
Grant, it won't be in the lottery next year anyway, so it doesn't matter. Or in 2 years.
Okay. Commissioner Gary Bettman is there. Here, Bill Daly, his right-hand man, is speaking. And let's see, he's holding up a number 16 card.
St. Louis.
NHL Draft belongs to the St. Louis.
St. Louis. There you have it.
Good.
15.
15th overall selection in the 2024 NHL Draft belongs to
Detroit.
Red Wings. The 14th selection
14th.
in the 2024 draft goes to the Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
And that pick will actually go to the San Jose Sharks. Mike Greer knows that he will have 2 first-round picks.
That pick goes to the San Jose Sharks because of a trade. So San Jose is going to have 2 picks in the top 16. Once again, St. Louis 16, Detroit 15, San Jose gets Pittsburgh's pick at 14. The 13th pick now. Minnesota Wild.
Good.
Pick 12.
Selection in the 2024 NHL draft goes to
Philadelphia's got 12.
All right, so back here with 17-year-old Macklin Celebrity.
All right, there you have it, guys. St. Louis 16, Detroit 15, San Jose from Pittsburgh at 14, Minnesota at 13, Philadelphia at 12. They've stopped it there because once again, we know that there are going to be 11 teams that have a chance at the number 1 pick overall. All right. 11 teams have a chance. Once again, let's show the Montreal Canadiens odds and bring them up. The Canadiens odds are first overall, 8.5%, seconds, 8.6, third, 0.3, fourth, 0, fifth, 24.5, sixth, 44, seventh, 14.2. The 11th pick, Buffalo. The 10th pick, New Jersey. Pick number 9. Guys, what are we looking at here?
Calgary.
10th, New Jersey. Who do you think is going to be available at 10 who could be a great fit for New Jersey? I know this is a tricky one because we don't know who's going to go.
I don't know. Cole Eiserman?
Yeah, that could be a pretty good pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't
They
we
have
do this?
Holtz. Holtz
Number
is
9.
kind of
Number 9. Calgary.
Good. So nobody's moved up yet. Good.
8.
Seattle is
Seattle.
good.
So next would be Ottawa.
7. Ottawa. Once again.
Okay.
Next pick is number 6. The Montreal Canadiens have the highest percentage of getting the 6th pick. Let's hope they don't. Utah gets 6.
Woo!
All right. Utah gets 6. At 5. No. I corne. Vaffanabile voglio. The Montreal Canadiens came out 5th pick.
Okay, so the order has been respected so far.
Where they
Yeah.
finished is where they're picking.
Chicago.
All right. So the Canadiens are getting the 5th pick. There you
Okay.
have it.
5 is good.
1
Yeah.
is better. Yeah. Damn. All right. Guys, we don't know who's going to pick who, but we have a feeling, correct me if I'm wrong, that Demidov, Macklin Celebrini, and 1 defenseman are going to go top 5 for sure, top 4, top 3. At 4, Columbus. At 3. So it's between Anaheim, San Jose, and Chicago for the number 1 pick. All right. Snake, who do you think the Canadiens get at 5?
I think they're going to get Lindstrom. It's just a gut feeling.
Caden Lindstrom?
Yeah, I think.
How far away, if they get Caden Lindstrom, is he playing in the National Hockey League? We know he's got the NHL body.
Not next season, the following season. At age 19, I would say.
And where would he play next year?
Go back to junior hockey. Look, he was injured for half a year. So I think he needs another easy. Gavin McInnes on that team. I think that would be great for him. They're going to have a very good team in Medicine Hat. They could reach the Memorial Cup next year. I think would be a great season for him.
Does he have number one center potential? And I ask you that knowing that Nick Suzuki is the Montreal Canadiens' number one center.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe 1A, but not sure about like solid top number one center. Not sure.
A pick like that would give you the flexibility to actually put Kirby Dach on the wing if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Yeah.
So when you see this drawing tonight, and the Canadiens have the 5th pick in the draft,
yeah,
the first thing that comes to your head is, you know what? They're going to pick Kaden Lindstrom with the 5th pick.
I think so. Unless he goes before. But I really think like you do, I think Levshunov, Demidov, Celebrini are gone. The question is, who's the other one who's going to be gone? Is it going to be Silayev? Is it going to be Lindstrom? Is it going to be Byam? Is it going to be Parekh? That we don't know.
Why don't we do this? What Bob McKenzie does is he speaks with the teams, he speaks with the scouts, and he tries to get himself a consensus. Yeah. This could be as close to accurate, but I have to tell you, our buddy Grant McCagg, over the last couple of years, he's been as accurate as they come. But for the sake of the exercise, let's take a look at Bob McKenzie's top 15. Macklin Celebrini 1, Ivan Demidov 2, Anton Siliev 3, Artem Levshunov 4. And the Montreal Canadiens have the number 5 pick. He's got Lindstrom at 5, Dickinson at 6, Parekh at 7, Byam at 8, Kostelenius at 9, Tisha Ginla at 10, Berkeley Catton, Carter Yakimchuk, Cole Iserman, Beckett Seneca, and Trevor Connolly, who I know you're very high on, Snake. Grant, this is Bob McKenzie's list, but based on your list,
yeah.
If Zane Parek's available at 5, you're drafting Zane Parekh?
Depends who went ahead of him.
No, I'm saying let's just say Bob's picks go top 4, okay? Let's bring back up the list one more time.
Bring it back up there.
Yeah, let's say Celebrini goes 1st, Demidov goes 2nd, Siliev goes 3rd, and Levshunov goes 4th.
Well, I mean, I have Parekh and Seneca pretty close. So,
okay.
I mean, need-wise, the Habs probably...
Anaheim gets the number 3 pick, guys.
Oh.
Okay. So the number 1 pick is either going to San Jose or to Chicago.
Oh, no.
Wow. It would be great with Quentin Musty, Celebrini and Musty.
San Jose is going to get the number 1 pick.
And they draft Conley with the 14th pick from the Pittsburgh Penguins.
You think Celebrini is going to play on the second line, Snake?
San Jose got the number 1 pick, guys. Chicago's number 2.
Oh, thank goodness.
All right. Yeah.
I can't see Celebrini being on the second line.
Oh, man. Mike Greer looks like a kid in a candy store. Mike Greer's gonna have Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith at center, huh?
That's gonna be fun.
And I think Will Smith will end up on the wing, to be honest.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. He hangs out at the other team's blue line all the time. He's going to the wing. Okay. He'll be on the wing with Celebrini. Mark my words.
Maybe the Sharks are going to get McKenna in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're going to be very good for the next couple of years, really.
They'll pick Catton. They'll pick Catton at 14. Imagine if they got Catton and Celebrini.
Conley and Celebrini.
Watch San Jose win the Stanley Cup one day with Macklin Celebrini at center.
Yeah.
And Will Smith on one wing and Quentin Musty on the other. Wouldn't that be something, eh?
William Eklund on the other, but anyway, we can debate that.
Could you imagine, Quentin Musty winning the Stanley Cup one day? All right, so there you have it. Once again, let's bring up Bob's list.
You think that Connolly will be there at 14, even though you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, probably. Because there are those off ice things, and then taking stupid penalties with 10 minutes left and having a lead.
That was really dumb. I love the player, but that was really a stupid play. First of all, I don't like shots to the head, but also
No.
the context was completely ridiculous. I mean, he cost his team probably a gold medal.
Guys, I want to talk about
Yeah.
Cole Yzerman, who at one point we were hearing was like, the best natural goal scorer in the draft. And there was comparisons of, the rate that he was scoring vis-a-vis Austin Matthews and Cole Caulfield, and the list goes on and on. He has dropped. And, every now and then when a guy is predominantly a goal scorer, you hear people say, well, all he knows how to do is score goals. And you hear other people say, well, that's good enough for me because that's the hardest thing in hockey to do. If the Canadiens need goal scoring, they need someone there to support Caulfield. And if he's getting shut down, a guy like Yzerman, let's say he reminds them of Caulfield, is the number 5 pick just too not a good spot to pick Yzerman because there's several others who are way ahead? Yes or no? Snake?
I wouldn't pick Yzerman at 5.
Yeah. Grant?
Yeah. I mean, I know Craig Craig Button has said that he's the best goal scorer in the draft. And I mean, I think that that's debatable. Like, he's the best goal scorer in junior, maybe, but at the NHL level, is it going to translate? Because he's a bit of a one-trick pony. I don't think he's the best in the, like, he's got a spot that he stands at right by the face-off dot all the time. They feed him, and he scores a lot of his goals from there. At the NHL level, they're going to have that. The pre-scouting is going to be on it, and they're going to be. You don't have how many goals do you see scored from where Yzerman scores at the NHL level?
You have to have a major league shot.
He does, but they're not going to get through from that spot. He's going to be covered, or it's going to be blocked 80% of the time. And the goalies are way better too, that's his bread and butter, but that's going to be pre-scouted, and that's going to be shut down. I don't see any other levels to his game. I know Snake mentions about Caulfield being that kind of player where it's, he's got that one spot where he scores from and he doesn't really do a lot of other things. I find Yzerman is even worse than that because I think Caulfield actually showed this year that he can. I mean, he got the most assists by a Canadiens winger since Kovalev. I forget what it was. There's like one other winger in this century that has more assists than Caulfield had this year. So I think that he brought other dimensions to his game.
I think
I don't see that with Cole Yzerman.
That'd be cool. Snake, we know you have your podcast coming up, so we'll let you go. But before we do, TJ Ginla and Berkeley Catton, quickly, your thoughts on both those players.
Well, Berkeley Catton, I find, is highly skilled. Highly skilled, scored a lot of points. 2 things that I'm concerned about. Western Hockey League in general, you look at these top scorers, look at the top 60, top 75 in the NHL. Not many of them come from the WHL. Sometimes I wonder if the stats could be inflated. Also, his moves, although they're great, will they work in the NHL? I'm not sure yet, but I do love watching him. He's highly entertaining. Iginla, he's a tough guy. He's got a good shot. He scored lots of goals. I don't think he's top 5 material. I think I'll have him probably closer to 10 to 12, I think.
In ending, though,
a good complementary player, but I do think he's a complementary player.
In ending, we know you're the president of the Trevor Connolly fan club, and you went on record on this podcast as saying that if the Canadiens draft Trevor Connolly, that you're buying season tickets.
Yes, but it won't happen.
No, but I guess that means you would take him at number 5 if it was you. Like, I know you said you think they'll take Caden Lindstrom, but if it was you,
I just play from what they do on the ice. Okay, obviously there's a team out there who's going to conduct interviews, do research about players. That's not my cup of tea. I only judge what I see. It was a dumb play at the U18, but you can't judge a player on one dumb play. So based on what I see on the ice, I still love the player. I think he's highly skilled. He's fast. He's entertaining. I love him a lot. Now the question is, Now it's up to the teams to do their homework behind the scenes.
Grant, and thank you very much, Snake, for joining us. Simon the Snake Boisvert, check out his podcast, Processus on la Commission Athlétique. Merci beaucoup.
Sounds like our lists are actually fairly close there.
My
Snake.
God, I don't know. I think Snake is coming around.
I think we'll end up pretty close, yeah, except for Conley.
And we even got along, I think, tonight, which was kind of crazy. Thank you, Snake. We'll talk to you soon.
Always do.
Grant, in ending, Grant, a lot of Canadiens fans are saying, as long as they don't take a defenseman this year, because the cupboards are full on defense. I know you've been an advocate of, don't worry about it. As long as you get a good defenseman, you can always trade him and end up getting a forward if you want.
Yeah.
You
might
still
take Perek.
Yeah. So you think so, eh? So you're thinking that it could, yeah.
I mean, that was a good question, Tony. I wouldn't I maybe because other guys have moved up. Like I didn't have I didn't have Seneca that high earlier. So when we talked about it before, I thought there was a gap between Perek and Seneca and Iginla, but I think that gap has closed. So if it's close, I really think the Canadiens will lean towards the need because, they don't need defensemen, right?
Yeah.
But and I think that they have a power play quarterback of the future in Lane Hudson. So the need is not necessarily there for Perek, but if he's, if they have him 3 on their list and they think that there's a separation there and he's available at 5, it wouldn't shock me that they took him because ultimately you want the best asset. And if they think he's the best asset, clearly, right defenseman that can be a power play quarterback that might be a point per game guy, it wouldn't shock me if they took Perek at 5.
Once again, in case you missed it, the San Jose Sharks got the first pick in the draft. The Chicago Blackhawks got the second pick in the draft. Anaheim got the third pick in the draft. If you're wondering about your Montreal Canadiens will pick 5th in the draft. When is the draft going to be? The first round of the draft is going to be on Friday, June 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern at the Sphere in Vegas, with rounds 2 to 7 on the Saturday, June 29th, starting at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. In between now and then is going to be, of course, the Scouting Combine, which is going to take place in Buffalo. And once again, the Montreal Canadiens finished with the 5th worst record in hockey. And when all was said and done, the Montreal Canadiens got the 5th pick in the draft. The 5th pick in the draft. So on this night, logic prevails. The Sick Podcast usually goes at 10 p.m. Monday to Friday. And of course, we went live earlier tonight, starting at 6 p.m. On that note, Grant, any final words? He's Grant McCagg of Recruits and Recruits.ca and the Recruits Draftcast podcast. Any final words by you, my friend?
Were they 5th last year, Tony, and stayed 5th? Do you remember?
I believe they were,
yeah.
Yes.
Year before, first, and they
first and they stayed first.
So it's 3 in a row where, they beat the odds, right? Apparently they're supposed to drop a spot every time.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
So I mean, it could have been worse, right? I think 5th is excellent. They're going to get a great player and just build from there.
The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Playground. WPT Montreal is taking over Playground once again, featuring 2 live streamed and fully televised events. Dive into the action with the WPT 500 Montreal Championship, WPT Prime Montreal Championship, and the Grand WPT Montreal Championship with over $4.2 million in total guarantees. It's a series you won't want to miss. Mark your calendars from May 9th to May 22nd for nonstop poker excitement. For more information, visit playground.ca. Don't miss out on the action at Playground. Once again, special thanks to our sponsors, our partners, Energy Transportation Group, as well as Labit the TB, as well as Playground, and as well as Accent Insurance Solutions, because you know by now that all insurance isn't created equal, and you know where to find the right solution for you at Accent Insurance. Accent doesn't sell insurance. They shop insurance for you to find the right product right on the money, whatever your insurance needs, home, automobile, or business. Call them at 514-363-3636. Thank you so much, everyone, in big numbers for joining us on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, on Twitter Live. Thank you for joining all of our channels. Thank you for being with us since day one. And if you weren't, thank you for joining. It's a Sick Podcast. We try to work as hard as we can, 5 days a week, going 12 months a year. And thank you for your loyalty. We very much appreciate it. If you want to do something real nice for us, besides actually even listening and watching, which is very nice, give us a 5-star review on Apple. It's our way of feeling the love. And please follow my buddy Grant McCagg on his podcast, the Recruits Draftcast podcast that he co-hosts along with Shane Gaumont. For Agnello, Sammy, and Master Control, he's Grant McCagg. I'm Tony Marinaro. Canadiens are picking 5th. Who are they going to pick? Keep watching the Sick Podcast and keep watching the Recruits Draftcast, because we're going to talk about all these prospects, and we're going to talk about them a lot between now and draft night, Friday, June 28th. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.